look like this.
Oh,
Thank you for joining us this evening. Before we start our meeting, I'd like to introduce Pastor New from the St. John's Lutheran Church to give us our invocation. Pastor.
Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you have given this community, blessing us with fine farmland, rangeland, and a place to build a community for our families. We ask you send your spirit to attend to your servants who enforce the rules Serve the sick, keep the store, teach the young who labor at their craft and minister to your word. Isaiah told the people to loose the bonds of wickedness, undo the straps of the yoke, and set the oppressed free. We are to share our bread with the hungry, give shelter to the homeless, clothe the naked, and satisfy the desires of the afflicted. We will see your light rise in the darkness, and gloom will be as noonday. Help all citizens of Los Banos to work for a common good through useful invention, salutary regulation, helpful occupation, wholesome recreation, good manufacturing, and meaningful education. We ask you preserve this community from recession and depression, epidemic and contagion, misrule and disharmony, drought and flood, fire and holocaust. Give them the grace to obey and trust your word through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. To call this meeting to order for February 4th, 2026. And Commander, if we could have the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have roll call, please.
Perez?
Here.
Chavez?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
Amabel?
Here. First item is consideration and approval of the agenda as submitted. If I could have that approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve our agenda this evening as submitted to the public. Any questions or comments? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Now we have a couple of presentations to make. You're hiding from me. Well, we're very proud. Stuart is a longtime member of our community. He's been instrumental in teaching the youth in our high school. He's a great cook, too, on top of that. There's a lot of things. And we heard about, we wanted to recognize him because of his accomplishments in duck calling. And so I am honored tonight for this proclamation recognizing Stuart McCulloch. Whereas Stuart McCulloch earned his 4th California State duck calling title on August 23rd, 2025 at the 15th Annual California State Championship and Outdoor Exposition held in Colusa, California. And whereas Mr. McCulloch achieved a significant world stage milestone by winning the 2025 Senior World Duck Calling Championship as part of the Wings Over the Prairie Festival, World's Championship Duck Calling Contest. Mr. McCulloch has dedicated 3 decades to the sport of duck calling, demonstrating sustained excellence, discipline, and sportsmanship, while earning a respectful place among California's most accomplished competitors. And whereas prior to his return to competition stage, Mr. McCulloch's leadership within the sport has been widely recognized through his work as coaching callers of all ages, judging contests locally and nationally, and serving for many years as master of ceremonies for the contest and exposition weekend in Colusa. And whereas Mr. McCulloch has competed in more than 130 calling contests across the nation and earned over 30 titles in event including world qualifiers, open competitions, and 2-man team events since 1998. And whereas beyond the stage, Mr. McCulloch serves his community as an educator, currently teaching ag food science and coaching public speaking, reinforcing the values of preparation, confidence, and personal growth in the next generations. And whereas Mr. McCulloch's return to competition was inspired by his son, appreciation of the special memories created through the sport, reflecting the powerful role that traditions, families, and mentorship plays in shaping a community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Michael S. Amabil, Mayor, and the City Council of the City of Los Banos, California, do hereby proclaim that the City of Los Banos recognizes and commends Stuart McCulloch for his exceptional achievement, and we applaud his commitment to representing Los Banos and the state of California with excellence on the national and the world stage. Be it further proclaimed that the City of Los Banos expresses its appreciation for Mr. McCulloch's years of leadership, coaching, judging, and community mind service, and congratulates him on the milestones and his accomplishments. Congratulations. You got it wrong. Quite an accomplishment. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you gentlemen this evening. We're proud that you represent our country and our community, and it's my honor to give this proclamation recognizing the Four Chaplains Sunday. Whereas February 3rd, 2026 marked the 83rd anniversary of the sinking of the troop ship U.S. Army Transport Dorchester, which carried to the deaths 4 U.S. Army chaplains of 3 faiths who stood united in prayer as the ship went down. And whereas these 4 chaplains, Methodist, Jewish, Roman Catholic, and Protestant, gave their own life jackets to 4 soldiers and thus sacrificed their own lives to save the lives of others. And whereas the historic deeds of Chaplain Lieutenant George L. Fox, Lieutenant Alexander D. Good, Lieutenant John P. Washington, and Lieutenant Clark V. Poling, and their combined act of supreme devotion and sacrifice for the American liberty and human freedom will be inspiring and ever-shining example of real brotherhood for all time to the people of the United States and the world. And whereas we must all see to it that their supreme sacrifice to the common cause of human freedom and justice for all shall not have been in vain. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Michael S. Amabil, Mayor, and the City Council of the City of Los Banos, California, do hereby recognize February 8th, 2026 as Four Chaplains Sunday and encourage all to give special recognition to the memory of those who sacrificed their lives for the cause of freedom. So thank you so much for bringing this forward. We really appreciate it. Would you like, Mike? We usually never lost the words. So.
Well, we'd like to thank the city for this. It's a very important date, and it's a very important thing that goes on every year. And we're privileged to be able to honor the chaplains, and with the turmoil that's going on in this country today, hopefully we won't be in another world war. So we keep pushing forward, and it's the most important thing is to honor the people that have gone before us.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public forum. Members of the public may address this city council members on any item of public interest that's within the jurisdiction of our city. This includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes to speak, and you're all welcome to come forward at this time. Please state your name.
Good evening, Vanessa Barraza. I am honored to serve as a field representative for Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria. I am based out of our Merced District office and serve the city of Los Banos as well as the communities of Dos Palos, Chowchilla, and Madera, acting as a direct connection between the community and the Assemblywoman. My role is to assist residents with state-related issues, advocate for our community, and ensure Los Banos has access to state programs and resources while also making sure local voices are heard in Sacramento. We have officially started the second year of the 2-year legislative session. In January, the legislature completed work on bills carried over from the previous year that were still in the House they were introduced in. Assembly bills in the Assembly, Senate bills still in the Senate. We are now moving toward the end of a new bill introduction period, with February 20th serving as a deadline to introduce legislation for 2026. Assemblywoman Soria is currently finalizing her legislative package, so I don't have specific details to share just yet, but please stay tuned. I want to briefly share a few updates from 2025. This year, California took meaningful steps to address the affordability crisis. The legislature passed historic reforms to build more housing, cut red tape, and improve affordability. We also delivered the largest energy affordability solutions in years, helping lower electricity rates and utility bills for families and small businesses. Assemblywoman Soria was proud to author and support legislation that directly benefits our region. This includes AB 36, which helps smaller rural cities and counties qualify for state housing funds. AB 457, which expands streamlined approvals for affordable farm worker housing in Merced County. AB 639, which reduces unnecessary regulatory burdens on agricultural water infrastructure. She also authored AB 848 and AB 849, strengthening patient safety in healthcare settings. The state budget delivered important investments locally, including $5 million for flood infrastructure in Merced County, $2.75 million for immigration legal services in the Central Valley, as well as continued investments supporting community assets like Colorado Ballpark, which received $1 million in state funding in 2024. In addition to state funding, our office partnered on several local initiatives. A 1,000 backpack giveaway back to school celebration last fall in partnership with the Los Banos Community Center, Los Banos Unified, and Binational. 500 turkeys distributed in partnership with Los Banos Unified and Cisco during Thanksgiving holiday last fall. We wanted to thank Councilwoman Perez for being in attendance. Thank you so much. We really appreciated that. $300,000 were brought back to the district through constituent service casework through our office. Assemblywoman Soria values strong partnerships with cities like Los Banos. Our office is always available to assist with state resources, navigating agencies, and supporting local priorities. I am here to listen, collaborate, and work alongside you to support and strengthen our community. I would love to host mobile office hours here at City Hall once a month on a schedule that works best for the city and for the constituents. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to staying connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and tell Assemblywoman Soria we really appreciate the support of our community. Thank you. Anyone else, please come forward. You're welcome to speak.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, and the staff. I want to continue to give you the positive message about catching ferals, helping cats and dogs in our community. I'd like to thank you guys personally and the staff members for pushing forward on helping the animals in our community. The police department, along with the commanders, Sergeant Mendez, and of course the animal control officers and their staff, just finished a hard program of kitten season that really never ended. It's starting right back up. I think we had a week of breath. As we continue in our community with pushing forward, like the program of our animals getting hitching rides, to different states and different cities in our community, it can be done. There is states and cities that really don't have any animals and they want our animals. So we can do this. I just wanted to read something that some of us put together one evening when we were exhausted for feral cat trapping, and we decided to put these words together. A dream of a community is where all animals are left safe, cherished, and free from harm. It's a vision of profound compassion. And we can have that compassion, and in Los Banos we really do. We didn't get this, with all these animals. We didn't get this way overnight. It's going to take some time, but I appreciate everyone's forthright on making sure that we progress forward. The downtown adds some really exclusive things for the animals, been pushing that off to the side, pushing forward. So thank you very much for all that you guys do. I think that sometimes people really need to hear on how much really, truly the community loves our animals, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Blanche. Anyone else, please come forward. You're welcome to speak. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow residents. My name is Sybil Halloran. I'm here to share a letter with you that's been signed on by over 24 fellow residents. We have watched the recent escalation of federal immigration enforcement across the country with increasing concern, particularly for the fear and instability it has created for families here in Los Banos. Families and communities are being torn apart and threatened through practices that appear to violate constitutional rights, including due process and privacy protections. Now is the time to make sure we are being intentional in strengthening our community's ability to respond to such stressors. As Los Banos residents, we urge you to take steps now to ensure that city resources and personnel are not used for federal civil immigration enforcement, and that our city fully complies with California's sanctuary laws, SB 54, and the constitutional protections of due process, non-discrimination, and equal protection. While the existence of such protections is paramount, they are only as good as our ability to know them, practice them, and protect them on the ground. California's SB 54 limits local agency participation in federal civil immigration enforcement to protect due process, community trust, and public safety. While Los Banos council members, staff, and law enforcement may share these values, we also know that the practicalities of how to engage in such situations, the confidence gained from knowing one's own and others' rights, and the effectiveness of clear procedures cannot be taken for granted. Current compliance does not guarantee that all staff understand how these protections apply in real-time situations. We hope that you will take active, urgent steps to ensure city personnel and local families feel your support behind them, with clear training, messaging, and information. We ask that you ensure city staff and police personnel receive training on constitutional and immigrant rights, specifically the requirements of SB 54 and lawful responses to federal immigration inquiries. Establish and enforce clear internal procedures to prevent the use of local resources for federal civil immigration enforcement. And publish clear, accessible public guidance explaining residents' rights and resources during enforcement interactions. During times like these, the value of clarity, preparation, and communication cannot be overstated. The chaos created by discordant orders from figures of authority can be reduced through such actions, effectively protecting residents' rights and city staff from legal exposure and being placed in untenable situations. People in Los Banos are afraid. Many residents are unaware of these protections or unsure whether they will be upheld in moments of crisis. Public guidance and visible leadership are essential to closing that gap. We look to you to take every action possible and ensure our city is doing all it can to protect its residents, maintaining the trust necessary for public safety. We look forward to hearing how the council plans to address these concerns and welcome the opportunity for continued dialogue. I'll give you the letter.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else, please come forward. Welcome.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor, and city staff, and all of those in attendance. It's a pleasure to be here. Tony Whitehurst. Tonight I'm speaking in behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. Done it a number of times, and I've been a member for about 50 years. But there are constant changes taking place. Our Chamber of Commerce is currently being challenged by the funding shortage that results when old contracts expire and new ones don't follow up closely enough. But the city has been helpful to the Chamber for a long time. It's a century or more. That organization was the first one to lobby for the pavement of Pacheco Boulevard from the foothills all the way out to Highway 59. And I have a lot of pride in that kind of history. I know my own family was new in the funeral business in Los Banos 105 years ago. And all of those years are they're surrounded by such things as attitude, and attitude changes constantly. And what holds us together is pride, confidence in our ability to face challenges, the successive work that we've managed to do to try to keep the community an attractive place, not just to live, but an attractive place to do business and to strengthen the base, the economic base of our community. And so we're facing this now, and there are obviously some changes in the attitude of city administration and how the Chamber of Commerce is going to continue as a group of volunteers, which we have been for clearly since its very beginning. And so I know that it won't be terribly long before you start to hear repeated comments about how we should stay behind them, continue to give them an opportunity to improve any way they can as a group of volunteers who want to strengthen the local taxes and improve the business environment, to strengthen the community entirely, just by making it a stronger, a healthier place to reside, to do business, to raise your family, and to and take pride in all of the benefits of having all of those volunteers behind you. That's the whole purpose of my being here today. We tend to report everything that goes on in the chamber, what kind of success we may be having with the Christmas parade, or the May Day parade, or the May Day fair, or the 4th of July activities in the community. These are all things that have been held, conducted, and constructed and actually supported by the Chamber of Commerce for a great many years. And so we expect that's going to continue to go on as a bunch of volunteers. But if you can help them, if you can look back in the way it's been helped in the past and how successful it's been, we urge you to respond to their current need. And they're sticking together because the only alternative for them is to walk away as a volunteer. And the one thing you won't find in a successful Chamber of Commerce is quitters. You just won't find them there. Without that, without the strength of staying together, the success would not continue. So thank you all for the opportunity to address you, and we're going to be here. We're going to continue reporting and working with you and trying to make things better. And I know it'll succeed. So please help out if you can. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anyone else, please come forward. We welcome you. Welcome.
My name's Javier Powell. I'm usually here just to report on the meetings, but here I'm representing the Milliken Museum today. I believe, thanks to Assistant City Clerk, you all received our membership flyer and a newspaper clipping. We just started our 2026 membership drive to state the importance of what this drive means to us. We don't accept any federal, state, or local tax funding at all. We're entirely funded by our memberships and our donations. And these memberships are the reason why we can keep our lights open. We can keep our operating hours from 1 to 4 every day except Monday. We are able to start digitizing our archives. We're able to apply for grants. We're able to get TVs to display our photo archives. And it's really thanks to these memberships we're able to keep going. Recently, this year we invested in PayPal, we invested in getting Square, so we're fully able to take card now. Before we used to only take check. We were kind of living in the Stone Age. We now also have a QR code, which is on the middle of the flyer, which you can scan, and you could just go to PayPal and pay it that way. It lets you also pay with your credit card. We're starting up our newsletter again. We know we let that one get defunct a long time ago, but we're working on getting that restarted. Starting this spring, it'll be quarterly, and that'll be part of the membership. Is you will receive either a email version of that or a print version, depending on if you opt in. Our upcoming events at the museum is the 8th Annual Charles Sawyer Lecture Series, which is February 25th, 2026. It'll be in the Ted Velasco Arts Council building, and the theme this year is Wartime Tales of a Small Town, how the world wars affected Los Banos and the home front, also our veterans while they were fighting the war. The next event after that is our major fundraiser we do, which is the annual Arbor Day Breakfast, which before you head out to Arbor Day celebrations this year, it'd be good to get some breakfast. That's on March 6, 2026, and it'll be at the Los Banos Community Center. There are 6-ish tiers of membership at the museum, starting with senior citizen and student at $10, going all the way up to $500 as patron. Anything really helps, so even just small amounts just helps the museum keep going. Another thing I figured I'd share, because I'm taking up some of your time here, is a newspaper clipping, which is from May 3rd, 1907, from the Merced County Sun, and it's the creation of Los Banos City. It's the big head title is The New City of Los Banos. I figured I'd share that. And it shows that Los Banos, by a vote of 83 to 15, became incorporated. Which is a fun thing. Back then, they didn't select the mayor. They didn't select the mayor at large. You would have the trustees, which are elected at large, and then they themselves would vote who would be mayor. So you can see who J.D. McCarthy got 99% of the vote. J.E. Place, J.V. Toscano, W.T. White, and A. Janelli. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Janelli. That was the ones who were sitting in the same seats you are to now in an older building, but in the same rough seats in spirit. The marshal was Joel Webb. The clerk was J.J. Sweeney. The treasurer was J.B. Dismuke. I'm not sure if I'm saying that one correctly either, but I figured I'd share that as well, along with our membership drive. when you become a member of the museum, you support us being able to preserve things like that. And hope you all have a great day. Sorry for taking up your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else, please come forward. We welcome you. Okay, I do not see or hear anyone coming forward. I just want to make a statement that we welcome all the statements here at the public forum. We listen to you, we hear you, and we understand you, and we don't take it for granted. And our number one priority as a city is to keep our residents safe and protected. We've had meetings, I've had 2 meetings with the city manager this week about what's going on at the high school and the walkouts and stuff like that. So we're on it, but I just want to let you know that your safety and all the safety of all the residents of Los Banos is our priority. So I appreciate everybody that spoke in the public forum. And now I'm going to turn over to our city manager, Neron Than.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As part of public forums this afternoon, I'd like to introduce everybody to our interim HR director, Isabel Carlos. So I have a little bit of a little bio for her. So Isabel is joining us to fill in the vacancy that was left by our former HR director, Lucy Maloney. Isabel came to us on January 26th. She brings over 20 years of responsible municipal management experience, with 10 of those years at the executive level. She has experience with all facets of human resources and risk management, including best industry practices, having served 18 years in the city of Paris, California, in various capacities, including Director of Admin Services and Assistant City Manager for, and over 3 years of those will also be with the city of Millbrae as Assistant City Manager / HR Director. In her role as Assistant City Manager, she has overseen multiple city department, division, and program. Her accomplishments include developing and implementing solid programs to manage, develop, and recognize employees. She also facilitated college education employee and community programs and award-winning projects to advance community public health. She also holds a Bachelor of Science from California State in Pomona and a Master in Business Administration from the University of Redlands. So please join me in welcoming Isabel Carlos to the team.
Well, welcome and welcome aboard, like they say. Let's see, is there any letters that came in from public forum or anything? Okay, so I'll move on to item 7, which is consideration approval of consent agenda as submitted. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be voted on with one motion unless removed from the agenda by a city council member. So with that, Fiona, if you could read off the consent agenda.
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant listing check numbers 255813 through 256050 in the amount of $1,401,744.65. City Council Resolution number 7043, designating 30 Taser X26 units as surplus equipment, and the items are to be approved as submitted.
Is there any questions or comments or thoughts from the city council? And since this is routine, if we could have a motion for accepting them, please.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda as submitted. Any further questions or comments? And the consent agenda also has resolution number 7043 within it. So with that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 8 is also a public hearing. You may challenge this proposed action as described in court. You may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised during a public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The public hearing will be to receive public comment and consideration of a conditional use permit 2025-03 to allow the on-sale of alcohol, type 41 ABC license, beer and wine at DFO Incorporated, located at 2160 East Pacheco Boulevard, Suite D and E. So with this, we'll turn it to our Community and Economic Development Director, Stacy Souza Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So just as the mayor stated, we're going to consider conditional use permit number 2025-03 for DFA Inc. The proposed operations, it is an existing full-service Vietnamese restaurant. They are located in the College Plaza Shopping Center. The request is to allow on sale of beer and wine. That's a type 41 license. This is with an eating establishment, and they are proposing no expansion of the building or change in use intensity. The project is located at 2160 East Pacheco Boulevard, Suites D and E. Again, that's within the College Shopping Center, College Plaza Shopping Center. Food for Less is located within that shopping center, Panda Express, and this is directly adjacent to La Michoacana restaurant. The proposed operations, so they are requesting a Type 41 ABC license. Again, that is on-site, beer and wine only. The alcohol does have to be served with food for on-site consumption only, and their hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. The environmental review, CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, this project was deemed to be categorically exempt under CEQA guidelines per section 15301, in that it is an existing facility and that there are no physical expansion or increased intensity of use proposed at this time. Under the use permit analysis, this is required under the Los Banos Municipal Code. There are general findings for use permits in general. And then in addition to that, our municipal code has specific findings for the on-sale and off-sale of alcoholic beverages. All of those findings are located within the staff report, and I can go over them if you have any questions. Otherwise, they are pretty standard findings. And the issuing authority is the Department of Alcohol Beverage Control, ABC, which is the state of California. This project is located within Census Tract 23.03. There are 10 existing on-sale restaurant licenses within that Census Tract, and this approval would increase that total to 11. The nearest license is adjacent just to the west of this restaurant location, which is La Michoacana. And you can see here that Census Tract 23.03 is really just east of Mercy Springs Boulevard, and it encompasses all of the commercial area on Pacheco Boulevard. So, and it runs almost the complete east end of town from Mercy Springs all the way to almost the city limit line. So it's a fairly large census tract, which encompasses a large swath of Pacheco Boulevard. This is the proposed security plan with the current floor plan. The cameras cover all of the dining area as well as the kitchen stations in the rear. This is a photo of the front of the restaurant, Suites D and E. And this is the interior of the restaurant. And their dining area. Public comment. Public hearing notices were published in the West Side Express and mailed out to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the property on January 21st, 2026. And as of the preparation of this presentation, no comments have been received. So staff is recommending that the City Council would consider adopting resolution number 7044, finding the proposed project to be categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Article 19, Section 15301, existing facilities, and approve conditional use permit number 2025-03 to authorize the on sale of beer and wine with a Type 41 ABC license, subject to the conditions of approval attached to the staff report and resolution. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Before we open it up for questions by the council, I'll open up the public hearing for use permit 2025-03 that was just described by our Community Development Director. If anyone would like to speak on this subject, this public hearing is now open. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Kathy Ballard. I just have one quick question. You showed cameras on the inside. Are they required to put any on the outside? That's my only question I had.
Okay, we'll answer that when the public hearing's over. Okay. Anyone else would like to speak on this liquor license proposed? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll close the public hearing, turn it back over to the City Council, and yes, Stacy, you want to just talk about cameras?
Sure. So there is a condition of approval, condition number 16, that requires the applicant to have monitoring cameras in the exterior and interior of the restaurant at all times to the satisfaction and approval of the police chief. So that is a condition of approval.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions by City Council? Okay, well, we're really excited that this restaurant's going to open. We welcome new businesses, especially restaurants, to our community, and we wish them only the best. Good luck.
We've been open for almost 3 years.
Oh, for this is just your license for?
Correct.
Okay. I thought you were expanding too.
Yeah, we did last year.
Okay, good. So with that, we're glad you're opening up a little beer and wine too. That helps. So with that, I'll need a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted, and it's Resolution 7044.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt or approve resolution number 7044.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 7044 as submitted. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. And again, we wish you the best. Next item is also a public hearing to receive public comment and consideration of a final development plan number 2024-01 and development agreement for the Village 6 subdivision. And this would be Resolution 7045 and an ordinance number 1214. So with this, if you could bring us up to speed on this, Stacy.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So just a little bit of background on this particular item. Back in November of 2003, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the Stone Creek Area Plan. Now, that's the entitlement that facilitates annexations. Then in April of 2004, the City Council approved the Stone Creek Area Plan, which included the eventual annexation of over 400 acres into the city of Los Banos. I do have in a couple of slides that area that shows the boundary of the Stone Creek Area Plan. So that's coming up shortly. And then in December of 2025, the Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing and approved vesting tentative tract map number 2024-02 and recommended approval of final development plan number 2024-01 and associated development agreement to the City Council. And that's what brings us here tonight, is to consider the final development plan and the development agreement. Now, the vesting tentative map was approved. The authority, the body having jurisdiction over tentative tract maps is the Planning Commission, but that entitlement is conditioned upon approval of the final development plan by the City Council. So the proposal before you tonight, that vesting tentative map was previously approved, but what it did was subdivide 8.2 acres into 30 single-family detached residential lots, ranging in size from 5,050 square feet to 10,985 square feet. The final development plan sets forth the proposed layout, circulation, architecture, street sections, landscape concept, and site features. So it's really how does that neighborhood look? The project covers approximately 2% of the Stone Creek area plan. It's a very small component of the Stone Creek area plan that was originally developed by Anderson Homes. Also tonight, you will be considering a development agreement which sets forth terms for development of the project site. So this is the location of the neighborhood, Villages 6 subdivision. It is really in the southwest quadrant of the city of Los Banos. It's right off of Dock Avenue. And if you take Cardozo Road, you go through, which right here you can see where the roundabout is off of Badger Flat. But if you continue through this 5-point roundabout and continue through Cardozo Road, that is where this new neighborhood will be located, which has 30 units. This is really a continuation of the Stone Creek area plan. So these units that have been built in phases over the last 20 plus years, this is just a continuation of that original approval back in 2000, ultimately it was 2004. So to access this neighborhood, entry is off of Cardozo Road on the south and off of Mariposa, which is on the north. And to get there, it's now called Catherine Hostetler Boulevard, but that's the street that's right next to Walmart. So if you can imagine, this is just southwest of Walmart. This is outlines the Stone Creek area plan boundary, and this is really just to show what that entire boundary that got annexed into the city 20 plus years ago, what that all encompassed. So this is the 400 plus acres that was annexed into the city. It is the southwest quadrant, like I said, of the city. And over the last 20 years, this area has been built out in phases. This tentative map, these 30 units are just right here. If you can see my little cursor, those 8 acres are almost in the center of this area plan. So CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, through environmental analysis, it was determined that this project is within the scope of the original Stone Creek Area Plan Program Environmental Impact Report, State Clearinghouse number 2006061015, certified by the Los Banos City Council. The proposed project was adequately described, examined, and evaluated in that environmental impact report, and no significant new information or changes in the environment have occurred that would result in new or greater significant effect not studied in that original environmental impact report. That EIR contemplated a total build out of over 1,800 residential units within the area plan, and as of today's date, only 1,200 units, over 1,200, almost 1,300 units have been approved. So it's definitely within the threshold of all of the dwelling units that had been approved with that original environmental impact report. So with the addition of the 30 units proposed for this subdivision, Villages 6, it brings the cumulative total to over 1,300 units. Definitely within that threshold originally analyzed. So the final development plan analysis, the purpose is that this is a planned development. So not only does it have its base land use designation of R1, low density residential, that determines how many units can be built on an acre, which that range for low density residential for the city is essentially 1 to 6 units per acre. So you have that base zoning, but then as this project got annexed into the city, it was annexed in with a planned development overlay. And what that zoning, that overlay district does is it allows for flexibility within the zoning that are traditionally not allowed in your lot by lot zoning, where you have very stringent setbacks. There's no flexibility, really no flexibility in design, lot sizes, very stringent. But the plan development gives you some flexibility to kind of move with that depending on amenities, having flexibility for amenities, and it's just a way to provide a more creative, innovative neighborhood. So that was the overall plan for that Stone Creek area plan. It encourages, like I said, innovative and creative development by allowing flexibility in land use and design. A part of that original analysis, and Mr. Mayor, I think you were originally on City Council when that area plan came forward, and possibly Mayor Pro Tem Lewis may have been on the Planning Commission at the time, may have been. But definitely as a lot of these tentative maps were processed through, you were definitely a part of that entitlement process. But as you can imagine, that had a very specific requirement of how that area was to be developed. It required the Stone Creek Plaza Shopping Center, Target, and what was Lowe's, which now is Hobby Lobby, Marshall's, all of that shopping area was required to come in. And some of that give and take was to allow that planned development, that flexibility in zoning. Also, there was some creativity at the time. It was considered creativity in street widths and street frontages and how those street frontages look. Now, that's a planning fad that has since gone away. Those smaller streets that you see right behind Target, we've pulled away, but you can see that at that time, the city was considering those different planning styles to see if it would work within our community. We've pulled away from that, and you won't see that now in this newer neighborhood, but it's just to show, emphasize, that's kind of the creativity that goes into the development and creating that development. It's not just what does the house look like, it's really about the entire development, the commercial component, whether they're schools, any amenities. Parks were a big part of this development. Olivera, soccer, that park, those soccer fields were also a big part of this plan. So it also allows the opportunity to provide amenities, like I said, and conveniences while maintaining a suitable neighborhood environment, and permits development based on a high standard of performance and design by creating greater efficiency in land use by providing flexibility in the strict application of the zoning code. And again, that would be to the city's setbacks. And achieved by maximizing open space, preserving natural amenities, and creating additional amenities as approved by the City Council, which was done when this was annexed in. So this is the project design, and as you can see, this is just plugging into that existing development, 30 units. And the project design, the intent is to present a diverse selection of production homes positioned on a range of lot sizes with varying widths. And that's really just to be harmonious with the existing neighborhood adjacent to this development, and really just to plug in with what's existing there. It consists of 30 single-family residential units. It does have a neighborhood park component, and that's because when Villages 2A and 3 map came into the city, which that's what developed Dock Avenue. Dock Avenue is just east, if you can kind of see that, those light gray shaded lots. It had identified a park, and that park, like I said, was a part of that original area plan, that designated what this development was going to look like when it first got annexed into the city. And then when Villages 5, that map came forward, which was by Anderson Homes, the dedication of this park, a portion of that was dedicated, and now this is the remaining piece. Staff does take a very critical analysis. We take a very serious look when parks are proposed and really look at the benefits, not just to have every park in every map, even for 30 units. That it wouldn't be necessary. But in this instance, because we already had land dedicated north of this for a park use, and at the time that this map was finalized, it had already carved out this land for the map, or for the park. That is why staff, in taking this map into consideration, allowed that park space to continue to move forward and to accept that dedication. The city is proposing to accept the dedication, but collect the park development fee, which would mean then the city will develop the park. And we've had some really good success lately in our last two parks that our Parks and Recreation Director Joe Heim developed, Shaughnessy Park being one of them, our newest one, and then Sunrise Ranch. But this will be a neighborhood park, and that's only because land was already dedicated to the city, and this park area was already set in motion about 20 years ago. The density is 3.66 dwelling units. Like I said, that range for single family low density residential is between 0 to 6 units per acre. The architecture proposed, it is production homes. There is a single story and a 2-story model, then with various elevations, 3 different elevations within the single story and the 2-story models. And then 5 architectural styles. There's traditional, cottage, ranch, craftsman, and farmhouse. All of those styles plug in very nicely into the existing Anderson Homes architecture, and even to the lots that Anderson Homes has sold off historically to D.R. Horton and to Legacy Homes. They're all very complementary. So it's traditional American architecture. Like I said, it's consistent with the villages at Stone Creek, which really surrounds this proposed development. Circulation. So this is within the packet, but just a snippet of what that circulation looks like. Cardozo Road is a major collector. It's a 4-lane road that will have a median. So access to the development is from Mariposa Drive, which runs north and south down into Pacific Drive, and Cardozo Road, which runs east and west. Cardozo Road, like I said, is designated as a collector. It's a 100-foot right-of-way, so it has 2-lane travel in both directions, 4 lanes altogether. It has a 12-foot median, a 5-foot bike lane, a 5-foot sidewalk, a 5-foot landscape strip, and then a 6-foot masonry wall. And this is just a continuation of the existing Cardozo Road, what you see today. But into this development coming from Cardozo Road, it will be right in, right out. And the purpose of that and extending that median is just because of the curvature. There is a bit of a curve going through Cardozo Road, and it's to ensure that drivers, there isn't conflict, and that was based on the city's analysis of the circulation. So Pacific Drive and interior local streets will be 58 feet wide, 58-foot right-of-way, 36-foot pavement widths, 5-foot sidewalks, and 6-foot landscape strips. The infrastructure proposed is to connect to city water off of Cardozo Road, sewer off of Pacific Drive, and then storm drainage will connect north through Pacific Drive, and is designed according to the city standards and specifications. And this project has been contemplated in the city's utility master plans. And it will be sized to accommodate the use and will be built in accordance with those master plans. So the development agreement proposed within this development, it's a legally binding contract between the City of Los Banos and a developer that delineates the terms and conditions of a proposed development project. It allows the developer to secure vested rights and allows the city to secure certain benefits. This is mostly used to implement a project over time, so a phased project over a long period of time. Now, this is only 30 units, so it's not anticipated that this will take 20 years to develop, But that's typically the benefit of a development agreement. It provides assurances to both parties that the terms of the agreement, the conditions of approval, will not change. And this is just consistent with all of the developments within the Stone Creek area plan. Each map has had a development agreement that has come before the City Council. It protects the developer from expending energy and money on a project only to have the terms of conditions and standards changed before the development is completed. So it just vests them for the duration of that development agreement into the conditions and standards at the time of the approval. And then on the city side, it ensures that the project gets developed, that they pay the appropriate fees, and that it's really consistent with that original area plan that the city approved when this was first annexed into the city. So it's in line with that original vision. The development agreement does have some defining characteristics. There's 3 characteristics. It allows greater latitude than other methods of approval to advance local land use policies in sometimes new and creative ways. It allows public agencies greater flexibility in imposition of conditions and requirements. So sometimes we can use a development agreement when we need special conditions. And it affords the project proponents greater assurance, like I said previously, that the project can be built over time. The benefits to the city is continuation of this planned development, formation of or annexation into a community facilities district. This is to fund public safety, and also the formation into a landscape and lighting district. Public comment. Public hearing notices were published in the West Side Express and mailed to adjacent property owners within 300-foot radius of the project on January 21st, 2026. And as of the date of preparation of this presentation, I had not received a public comment, but I did receive a comment from CCID, the Central California Irrigation District, today. That reads, thank you for the opportunity to comment on item 8B, pages 37 through 143, consideration of final development of Village's 6th subdivision. Please be aware that property has been farmed in previous years. Central California Irrigation District doesn't object to the development. However, we do ask that before any work is done, all irrigation and/or drainage facilities in the area must be identified by the developer and protected from impact or interruption according to our specifications, as lands continue to be farmed in the west of this development, both in CCID as well as Class 2 lands. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the undersigned. Sincerely yours, Maria Fatima Sequeira, Assessor for CCID. So staff's recommendation is that the City Council would consider adopting resolution number 7045, approving final development plan 2024-01 for the Village's 6th subdivision, and then waive the first reading and introduce ordinance number 1214, authorizing the mayor to execute a development agreement for the Village's 6th subdivision. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing to receive public comment. As what's been stated by Stacy, Development Plan 2024-01 and a development agreement for Village 6 subdivision. This would be Resolution 7045 and also an ordinance number 1214. Anyone that would like to speak in the public hearing on this item, please come forward. We will go ahead and put in the CCID letter into the public hearing. So it's going to be entered into that. And you're welcome to come speak on this subject. Okay, I do not see or hear anyone coming forward, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, just entering the letter from CCID. So with that, is there questions from the City Council to Stacy or staff? Deborah?
No questions. I was going to go on and make the motion for this.
Okay.
If there are no questions of council.
Any questions from the rest of the council?
Mayor, may I make one or two
Sure.
corrections. In the development agreements, there's a few typos on there on how we reference the exhibits. One is on page 91, just to correct that this is West Tentative Map 2024-02. And then on page 93, when it say Exhibit E under section 1.1, that should be Exhibit F. And on page 103, it's call out for Exhibit F, which it should be Exhibit G. So we added one thing and forgot to change the call out. So.
Okay, so we'll make that changes.
Okay, with
And
those,
Deborah.
thank you. With those changes recommended, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 7045 as read by title.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and second for resolution 7045. Questions or comments? I'm going to make a couple of comments on this. This was seen when I was mayor, 1.0, I guess. And this was probably, that 400 acres is a lot of acres to annex into the city at that time. But that's when we really started making some big advances at the city and a lot of negotiations with developers. This, as Stacy said, this included the whole Target development, the Olivera Park. We negotiated land for a church. It also had negotiations for the land for Merced College. It was all built into negotiations of this 400 acres. And so at that time is when we really started putting into place that any new development has to enhance our existing residents. And a lot of those developments, the Walmart, the Target Shopping Center, Lowe's at the time, and that Olivera Park were all under construction before really any major homes were built. That was also a very big part of it. So we wanted to bring those, that we went out to the public and we heard what, everybody said they were driving to Turlock and Merced to go to these stores. And we wanted to bring these stores in. Luckily, at that time, the developer had connections with that. And then we just kept on asking for more and more and more. And we got it. And so this is the same type of thing we're doing now in the future. This council believes that if we approve any further annexations, they will have to exist, they have to enhance our existing residents. It can't just be houses, it has to be more than that. And that's our, what we stand by today. I never thought it was going to take 22 years, and we're still doing this project. That's really called market conditions. The whole country went through a lot of down times with COVID and the 2008-9 crash of the housing markets and stuff like that. But this development is still going strong, so we're glad for that. So with that, I will go ahead, and we have a motion and a second, and all in favor signify saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it for resolution number 7045. Now ordinance number 1214.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1214. I'm sorry, I'd like to make a motion to waive the first reading of ordinance 1214 as read by title.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to waive the first reading and the introduction of ordinance number 1214 as stated. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
And I would like to make a motion to introduce the reading of ordinance number 1214 as read by title.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to introduce ordinance number 1214. Since this is an ordinance, this will be a roll call vote will be required.
Perez,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Amabile.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that staff report. We appreciate that. Now we'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, William Vai, about a Pioneer Project updates. William?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I have an update. Stacy's going to help me get this set up. I'm technologically challenged, so this is a relatively short presentation, just an update on kind of where we're at with the Pioneer Complete Streets project. Sorry, I need to change out my glasses so I can see what I'm doing here. So this is the location. You can see on the map there, the pink line is the entire project as it's proposed. A lot of this is in the future. This is a little bit more of a close-up map, and this one's in green. But it basically starts out, depending on which end you start at, I'm going to start on the west side. It starts out just east of the college, just east of the creek, comes down and connects 152 to Pioneer, and then follows Pioneer all the way out and eventually to Ward Road, where it then goes back up and connects to Pacheco. And various 4-lane sections, 2-lane sections, center medians, very large, complex project. So this project was approved by City Council in January of 2021. And without improvements, multiple intersections fall to a level of service of F, which means severe delays. So that contributes to congestion. And then we're going to close some of the gaps in the bicycle and pedestrian facilities. They're currently inconsistent and unconnected. So as part of this project, there's going to be, if I remember correctly, a 10-foot wide shared use path that could be used for pedestrians, bicycles, and it will connect, kind of eventually provide a loop on the southern edge of the city that you can get from one side of the city all the way to the next side of the city, to the other side of the city by foot or by bicycle. It also provides an alternate route. Instead of going down Pacheco Boulevard all the way through town and hitting all of the traffic lights, it provides a safe, efficient east-west option to relieve some of that congestion on State Route 152. And it reduces congestion, which also improves the air quality because you don't have all those cars sitting and idling at stoplights. The current project that's in construction now and is nearing completion, I just signed I hope the final change order today. It was just we had to relocate one not the traffic light, but the street light on top of it was in a conflict with one of the power lines, so we had to add a street light. So that was the change order I signed today. So hopefully that's the last one. But in February 2025, the council approved a $6.67 million contract for this first phase, which is Pioneer Road and Ortigalita signalization. And as I mentioned, the improvements are almost complete, including that traffic signal. The traffic signal's in, it's just not quite energized yet. And the completion is scheduled for March of 2026, which is next month. So this is the entire project broken down into segments, and these segments are required so that we can finish all of the environmental documents associated with this project. So these have been changed a couple of times, and this is what we have worked on, Neron and I, and Stacy's been involved too, but citywide we've been working on this, getting these segments laid out so that it makes the best sense to remove the most congestion as early as possible, because as you can see from the dates on this segment 1, which is the connection between 152 and Pioneer on the west side, is projected to be completed in 2030. So this is a long-range plan. Segment 2 is Pioneer Road, Mercy Springs intersection improvements, which will likely be a roundabout at that intersection. That's a state route, 165, so we have to go through Caltrans for that. And that's scheduled for 2033, so these are staged about 3 years apart. Phase 3, segment 3 is the Pioneer Road actually not making the connections and the intersection improvements, but actually doing some work on Pioneer Road itself. And that's scheduled for 2036. We go to 2039 for 4 for Phase 4, which is the Ward Road Safety Project. So that's the stretch of Ward Road from Pacheco down to the future projected extension of Pioneer Road, which will go all the way through. And that's 2039. And then we go to 5, which is the extension of Pioneer Road from 165 to Ward Road. And then segment 6 is the last section of how it's proposed now, and that's the segment between Center Avenue and 165 area, almost wherever Phase 2 ends is where we'll make that connection. And one of the reasons that's one of the last ones, because there's a bridge there that needs to be upgraded, and that we're going to have to work in conjunction with CCID to make that bridge into a 4-lane, 2 lanes in each direction. So as you can see, very long range, very forward-thinking project to try to relieve the congestion on 152 and provide access to some of the new homes that are currently being built and some of the existing homes that are still there. Another way around instead of going right into the middle of town and either commuting out or traveling out on weekends or getting to the Bay Area or to the east to Fresno, Madera, Yosemite area. So this kind of breaks down the 2-lane sections and 4-lane sections. So it'll be a 2-lane section basically from Pacheco on the west side down to Pioneer and across until we get to that section at Center. And then that section will be 4-lane from Center to 165. Is that Center I'm looking at? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Gus Villalta. I guess it's a little east of Center, all the way to 165, and then it'll go back 2 lanes again over to Ward and back up to Pacheco. So this is a proposed cross section of the 4-lane section. So you'll have 2 lanes in each direction, bicycle paths on the shoulders, plus the 10-foot multi-use path on one side, and I think it's projected on the north side of Pioneer, if I'm not mistaken. So here's a public meeting recap. On September 9th, 2025, we held a public meeting. There were approximately 30 residents, 30 attendees. The primary comments included public safety, traffic flows and design of medians, the impact on the nearby homeowners, and the conditions of the current road. And the next steps are completing the environmental and technical studies, and then to continue secure funding through state grants, federal grants, regional transportation funds, any local funds that we may need to plug in. It's a very large, expensive project as a whole. So we're going to try to get funding wherever we can get funding to help us get it done on time. And that concludes the presentation, but I am available for questions. And I know the city manager has a lot of experience with this project, so anything I can't answer, I'm sure we can come up with an answer for any questions that you may have.
William, sorry, if we may go back to like slide number 5 a little bit, just because, it is quite confusing and at times kind of trying to fathom all of these things together. It's Pioneer Roads is a very, very large project. As it stands right now, looking all the segments and at the time of delivery, which is, can go up to about 2045, we're looking at a total project close to $150 million worth of project. Projects at that kind of level of complexity take times, right? It is a multifacets of getting grant funding as well as right-of-way dedications from development, really careful planning with those developers coming in through whether future annexations so that all those land can be acquired and being built as part of those new developments. So what we have now is a little bit different than what's presented to you back in September, mainly because of the segment number of Phase 2 and Phase 1. It's flip-flop. Originally, intersections of Pioneer and 165 was prioritized, but as you can imagine, the reason for the project delay in the last couple years has been the environmental portions. There is a disagreement between the air quality or air conformity standard between the federal government and the state of California that causes the projects to reevaluate all of that stuff over. So that's why in the last 2 years, we kind of been at a standstill waiting for those interpretations between the state and the federal, because this project is funded both by our tax dollar, the state's grant, as well as federal government. So we have to get it clear through California Environmental Quality Act, as well as the national EPA standards. Therefore, meeting both states and federal, trying to get both of those to work together and have a single interpretation was proven to be challenging the last 2 years. So that's why the segment of 165, so we didn't want to have this project continue to be delayed because waiting for those answers, we flip-flopped that to get the east of creek alignment, which is what you see now as segment 1 to be the priority. When we look at priority also, it's aside from the environmental, is also the impact, right? We want to relieve congestions as quickly as we can because that's what we hear a lot about in Los Banos. We all understand that even with the signal synchronizations on Highway 152, there are specific intersections, for example, 152 and 165, that continue to be bottlenecked at peak hours. So how do we alleviate some of that traffic immediately is by providing a secondary connections. And that connections would be on the east of town because that's where the most upstreams of traffic are coming in and getting exited out of town. So this would give us a lot of that synergy, as well as you can see on this map over here, majority of that part of segment 1 has already been annexed. It's already been identified as part of the area plan that was just presented to you in a public hearing earlier. So we have a lot of that right away been secure that allowed us to go to be able to deliver this project a lot quicker. Of course, these will have to then go back to the MCAG governing board. We do have quite a bit of Measure V money that has been allocated for this project. In total, that's $8.6 million. And that's why we want to make sure that we can get those delivered and get our residents access to this road as quickly as we can. Mayor, Council, if you have any questions.
I want to make a comment too on those section 1 and 2 will be probably the biggest relief of our residents for traffic. And that's 2030 to 2033, hopefully sooner. And when you think of 2030 is only 4 years away, that's scary in itself. But that'll be the majority. And we're going, even the 2-lane section will be able to be built out to forward the future, correct? Yeah. So we're going to prepare that with the land.
And if I could just add, we'll be working on multiple sections of this at the same time. One might be in construction while another one's in one stage of design, while another one's getting closer to completion of design. We don't wait for one to get finished before we start working on the other one. So we'll be working on multiple pieces of this all at the same time.
That's good. Comments?
I just like to say, I'm glad at least there's a portion in District 4 that's been completed right now. The portion that goes out to 152 in Merced, 2030, that's only 4 years away. And then, as the mayor said, segment 2 is 2033. That's roughly 7 years away. But the rest of them, I don't know if I'll be driving, so I may not get to enjoy this, especially Phase 6, 45.
We'll be flying.
Maybe Mitzi will still be, she'll be our age and able to drive on it. But I'm happy to see that the progress is going. No matter how long it takes, this is definitely needed for our community. And maybe as time goes on, there'll be a circle around the city in the northern phase to bring it down to the east and west off 152 for the northern hemisphere of the city of Los Banos.
I agree with that too. We need to look at a northern one and a north to south one besides the highway. Mm-hmm. So, any other comments? Mitzi, anything? Okay, appreciate it, William. Next items, Deanza Way, Emerson Springs Road, Highway 165 intersection project update. We'll go back to William.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, City Council. This one's much shorter than the last one. This is a rather brief update, but we wanted to bring an update just so everybody could kind of see where we're at and make sure that we let everybody know we haven't forgotten and we are currently working on this. Almost daily, there's some kind of movement, some kind of conversation. At least weekly, we are actively working on this project. So for those of you who don't know, which I don't know if there's a person in Los Banos that doesn't know, this is the location we're talking about. You can see the big red arrow, and this is the connection for the Shaughnessy Village subdivision, the connection that was made multiple years ago that was then closed. And what we're trying to do is work on a plan to get it back open so that we can kind of relieve some of the congestion that happens because there's it will add another entrance and exit to that subdivision. So this is at De Anza Way and Mercy Springs. So the Shaughnessy Village subdivision phases 1 through 3 were accepted by City Council in November of 2019, so a few years ago. Caltrans requires the intersection for additional improvements. And as requested by Caltrans, Public Works placed K-rails to block the intersection. And I was, even back in 2019, I was a city employee at that time. So that's how far this goes back. I left and came back, and it still looks like it's in the same condition, but we're working on it actively. The desire is to open De Anza Way and State Route 165, as I mentioned, to provide better access and emergency responsiveness as intended in the original design. We initiated a task order with Mark Thomas Consultants in June of 2025 to design a safe entrance and right in, right out only access with the use of a pork chop island and curb gutter sidewalk along the east side. So right in this picture, right behind that wall on the right of the picture would be the sidewalk. So this is the striping conceptual design. So this kind of gives you an idea of what it will look like as it's currently being designed. So on the left of the picture here is where we see the new the new credit union there at Scripps Drive. And then right where the big red arrow is, that's the De Anza connection. And you can see that little piece of median, it's almost a triangle. That's what we refer to as a pork chop. So that keeps vehicles, you can only turn right coming out, and you can only turn right if you're heading northbound. You can turn right to enter. There'll be no left turns allowed off of 165 if you're heading south. And that the reason for that is we don't want those conflicts. We don't want to create an area where it's going to cause more accidents by allowing left turns across there, because there's not enough right of way there. There's not enough space to be able to put a dedicated left turn lane in. That's per Caltrans standards. So it's just going to be striped. We're not going to add, at least not at this time, we're not considering adding any delineators like we have out on 165 to the north. In the Skylark area where you see those delineators, we constantly have to replace because they get hit and broken and knocked down. So we're not proposing any of those at this time. And this has all been discussed with Caltrans. We've had multiple meetings with Caltrans about this design. We recently received the geotechnical report. So our consultant hired a sub-consultant to go out and take core samples in the pavement area and in the shoulder area that will be paved to determine what the soil that we're going to be paving over looks like, because that's going to help determine how much base rock we need to put, the design and thickness of the pavement that goes over the top of that. So we recently, I think on Monday, we received that that geotechnical report, which will be submitted or was submitted to Caltrans for their review. So the way we're moving forward, there's multiple different ways to proceed with any kind of construction in Caltrans right of way. So the way we're moving forward with this is an encroachment permit, and we're coordinating that with Caltrans. And basically what that means is we're going to design our project to Caltrans standards, but we're going to design it, and then we're going to submit that project for an encroachment permit with Caltrans, meaning we're just going to ask them to encroach on their property, just like we would require anybody if you wanted to put a new driveway in front of your house. If you're going to encroach on city property, then you need to ask us for the permission to do that. So we're just doing that with Caltrans. Instead of submitting our plans to them, letting them review them, getting them back, making changes, submitting them again, because Caltrans doesn't, people think the city moves slow, Caltrans moves much slower. So we're trying to speed up the process by designing the whole thing and then submitting an encroachment permit with Caltrans. And we've used Mark Thomas to complete the design plans. They have lots of experience working with Caltrans. The next step after we finish design and apply for the encroachment permit and get the encroachment permit, then we'll release the project for bid. We'll award the bid for construction, and then we'll construct it and complete the construction and open it up for traffic.
This year, right?
I don't think it'll be done this calendar year, yes. We'll do everything we can to get it done this calendar year. I'm not sure about the fiscal year, but because we have to work through Caltrans, it does kind of delay things. But we're actively working on it, and we're going to hit all of those steps as fast as we can.
Good.
And that concludes the presentation, but I am here for any more questions that you may have.
Mayor, if I may clarify on some of that stuff, I think since my first time around to Neuron 1.0 as a public work director, we've been hearing a lot about these things, since 2019 about access to that neighborhood. We hear you, we understand how frustrated it is for how long this process has been taking, but rest assured, we have a plan in place. We do have to work with a third party, and that is Caltrans, that is within there right away. Our instructions to our consultant has been very clear that we want to have full 100% design and bid package completed by the end of March. But we have to, respect our partner agency who has control over the state highway, and they essentially control all the design of that. So they will be the one that dictating the time. But from our end, rest assured that we will get 100% of our responsibility done by this spring and turn that over to Caltrans.
Good to hear. Any questions?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to ask, so this won't help like fire department, police, ambulance, or anything trying to access that area? Because you can only drive, you can't turn in there, right? Coming from the north.
Fire will be able to turn left if they can navigate the pork chop. If they're responding to an incident, they'll be able to access. I'll let the chief, maybe you might have a better answer than that, but for me, if I have lights, I'm doing whatever I want, right? But they don't give me those kind of lights, so.
Yes, so we should be able to go into that opposite lane in traffic, and they've been consulting us throughout this whole process just to make sure we have enough to be able to access that.
Deborah?
Well, my question was around that as well, and I know that we have a couple of pork chops on 152 that don't flare out enough, and people make left turns out of them onto Pacheco. So is this pork chop in place already, or is it to be constructed?
Yeah, it's not in place yet. It's going to be constructed. And one of the comments we received from Caltrans was they wanted a redesign of the pork chop so that to try to prevent some more of that. It's really hard to stop people. If they're bound and determined to do it, they're going to do it. But I'm sure we'll have full cooperation from the police department once this gets installed, especially initially, to make sure everybody's following the rules. And if they think there's going to be a police officer there, somebody's watching them, that usually deters people. So we'll just get them used to using it properly, and hopefully they continue to do that.
And well, I'm not a designer, so I don't know. I just know that we have some problems in our community with people violating the pork chop, but the pork chop is very small, so it's easy to just get around. And that was one of my concerns, is that it flared out far enough and maybe out into the road a little bit so that we don't have those issues, but also to make sure that we can get our emergency vehicles in and out of there when necessary. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any comments? Okay, thank you, William. And now we'll move on to our city department reports, and we'll start with Community Economic Development Director, Stacy Souza Elms.
Let's get all this going. We will not have a meeting. Our next meeting would be this coming Wednesday, February 11th, and no agenda items, so no planning commission meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Finance Director, Minnie Moreno.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Fire Chief, Paul Twala.
I have nothing to report also.
Okay. Human Resources, our interim Human Resource Director, Carlos.
Good evening,
evening.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the City Council. Isabel Carlos, I'm the interim Human Resources Director, and I do have a brief update. So the HR team has been busy with business as usual, helping to manage our very talented city team. On the recruitment front, which I'll present on, for this period, we worked on 13 vacancies, advertising, proctoring examinations, facilitating interviews, and onboarding new hires. We're happy to announce that we are welcoming 4 new hires. We have 2 new community service officers, Lourdes Vega and Jonathan Montes. We have a new legal assistant, Alex Torres. We have a maintenance mechanic, Carlos Fernandez. And we're also pleased to announce that we have 3 internal promotions. We have Sean Carter, who promoted from a part-time maintenance worker to a custodian. We have Janelle Kirschman, who promoted from an administrative assistant to an administrative coordinator for utilities. And we have Adriana Vieira, who promoted from an administrative clerk to an administrative coordinator for streets. And that's my update for tonight. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And let's see, for Parks and Recreation, do you have anything?
Yes. So our Park and Recreation directors are still out. We are working with him to get him back remotely in the meantime. But in his absence, I want to let you know that the blood drive went really well today. So thank you for those members of the community who showed up for the blood drive at the community center. Our next event is going to be this Friday, which is our Save a Heart event. It will be from 10 to 1 o'clock at the community center. And if you are wanting to learn how to start a business, we do have the basic of starting a business at the community center on February 21st. So that's conclude my recreations.
Great. Thank you very much. The police, the commander, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, real brief, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This Saturday on the 7th, PAL is going to have opening ceremonies at 10 a.m. at Pacheco High School. Several hundred kids are going to be starting their softball season. So it's going to be followed by a few games at the Noah Jones Park. And I also wanted to make a comment just out of, for general comment, that we do have our policy, and it's a Lexible Policy Section 412. It's posted online. It's in full compliance with the California Values Act, and it's well known to staff.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, William, anything else?
I have no further updates.
Okay, thank you. City Attorney, Mary Lerner.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just wanted to report that we had a successful Brown Act training for the Planning Commission last Wednesday, and then also noting that I will be at the Parma Conference February 24th through the 27th, but I'll continue to be available responding to emails, phone calls, anything staff or council may need during that time. And just for reference, PARMA stands for Public Agency Risk Management Association. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. City Manager, you're on.
Aside from the fun park and recreation stuff, we are firing in all cylinders for all of our departments. As you can imagine, with 23 staff on board just the last week to the last meeting when you see all of them being introduced. There's a lot of onboardings and training that we are doing internally, and also it's kind of revisionings on what our vision is going to be when it comes to customer service and how we conduct business. On that note, I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Lewis for taking her time to take us on a tour to the San Joaquin Valley Airport last week to learn a lot about their operations, transparencies, and how we engage with our residents, especially when it comes to conducting our governing board meeting. We've learned a lot on the technology front as well, how they interact. So that was a full afternoon for us, and that really will help us through our SB 707 implementations and contract with our IT company to get our chambers upgraded. So that project will be coming to you here. We anticipate the contract amendment on March 4th, and then from then on to get that implemented before July 1st of this year. And internally, we are also working on complying with AB 339, which is a notification to our labor unions when we do contract issue solicitation for contract that is falling in line with our bargaining group or job classification. So that is a pretty large policy that we are developing internally, and then we're hoping to get that completed here shortly. That's
Great. Thank you very much for your report. City council members, we'll start with Mitzi Perez, District 1. Mitzi, any report this evening?
Thank you. I don't have anything to report today, but I would like to welcome Isabel, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And Evan is freezing to death, and so he's gone. So we'll go to District 3, Marcus Chavez.
No, I don't really have anything to report on, but yeah, I definitely want to say thanks to staff for all their hard work. Also, welcome to Isabel. Bienvenidos a los baños. So welcome. And also want to thank Fiona for helping us out tonight, and Sarah, she was here as well. So thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Great. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank
Deborah
you,
Lewis.
Mayor. Well, I would also like to thank our new HR interim director, Isabel Carlos, and all the work that you've accomplished so far. Thank you so much for joining us. And just in a little side note on the report that our city manager gave with our visit to Valley Air, they've been doing the SB 707 for quite some time. So they were a good asset to help us understand what we're facing and the things that we have to do to bring our chamber up to standard for the engagement of public that will not be here at the meeting, as well as our equipment to make it easier for our staff to operate. And we have a piece here tonight. We have a new clock. So that's a good thing. But with that, Mayor, I have nothing else. Thank you.
That mayor was too lenient with his time, so we have a clock now. Well, of course, Isabel, I thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Fiona and Sarah have taken care of me very well. I'm a pain for them. I talk to them almost every day, and I appreciate all the hard work you're doing, Fiona. Thank you very much. A couple of things. We did have a great city-county meeting on the 22nd of January, and I appreciate actually Stuart McCullough did our cooking. He did a great job. Our speaker was on AI, and that was in government. That was interesting. Tomorrow, I'm going to be speaking to the Parent Leadership Institution, which is the MCOE, Merced County Education Office of Education. It's tomorrow morning at the community center. It's about how local government works. And so I'm going to be talking about the three of you up here, more than me. So that's tomorrow. I want to tell everybody, even though we might not be talking about it every week, we are always working on homeless and the encampment. We're working on streets all the time. We're talking about jobs creation, affordable housing, trying to make sure things are. It takes a lot of time to get things into gear where things are flowing correctly with our outside partners, but we are working on all those things correctly and together. And I want to throw out something that was brought to my attention a few weeks ago that I guess a couple of years ago there was an ordinance change that said, and maybe you could correct me, Stacy, on this if I'm not correct exactly. that with any kind of new annexation, a specific plan is required before we bring it to an annexation. Well, there's a lot of problems with that because a specific plan is a lot of engineering. So that would be requiring all that work ahead of time before even an application would go to LAFCO. This really worries me in case of business opportunities like a business park. Somebody wants to come in. It could require additional time. And like was said earlier by William, government runs slowly for a reason, so things don't get past our residents. There's a reason for why government moves slowly. But I don't think we should actually have things that slow it down even more. It doesn't, going back to the way it used to be, we can still look at the project, get the annexation done. We can still have total control of entitlements and everything, so the city does not lose anything. I just don't want to see this extra layer requiring that up front. So I want something that the staff and council think about that in the future. It is an ordinance, so it's a lot to change it, but I think it'd be something for us to discuss in the future. I want to throw that out there. And with that, I don't think I have anything else. I do appreciate everyone that spoke at our meeting this evening and the public hearing and the public forums. We'll be going into closed session with conference with legal counsel. Existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. Name of the case is Los Banos Enterprise, LLC versus the City of Los Banos. This is in Merced Superior Court, Case 24CV03797. The second item in closed session is Public Employee Performance Evaluation. City Manager pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B. If any decision is made, discussed in closed session, we'll be coming out here making a public vote and discussing it publicly. With that, thank you all, and we'll be going in closed session at this time. Okay, we are back from closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, case Los Banos Enterprise LLC versus the City of Los Banos. There will be nothing to report on that item. Item B is a public employee performance evaluation, title of City Manager pursuant to Government Code 54957B. There will be no reporting on that. So with this meeting is adjourned at 8:21 p.m. Thank you.